Hai, welcome to DTox bersama dengan saya David Cokro Raharjo dan bersama dengan anak perempuan saya Rachel Grace. Ini adalah perempuan yang biasanya ada suaranya yang bilang adalah welcome to DTox. Kalian mengenal dia sebagai seorang investor, sebagai seorang pelatih, sebagai seorang CEO confident, tapi saya mengenal dia sebagai seorang papa. That's right, ini adalah anak perempuan saya. And biasanya kita berbicara dalam bahasa Inggris, campur-campur dengan bahasa Indonesia sedikit-sedikit. Dan alasan kenapa beberapa bulan lalu saya mengambil sebuah keputusan untuk Rachel menjadi host untuk acara Detox, acara podcast saya. Karena banyak daripada kalian yang sering kali menanyakan bagaimana caranya untuk bisa maintain kesibukan saya, tapi pada waktu bersamaan juga menjadi seorang ayah. Ini adalah salah satu contoh yang saya kerjakan, mulai dari Rachel, you were what, 7 years old? 5 years old? You already came to meetings together with me, right? Yeah, and you still want to explain to everybody what you did, when you were still just a little girl. You'll go with me, go to a restaurant, and we'll meet a certain group of people, right?
Yeah.
And tell everybody, what did you do?
Normally, I just order food, order a drink, and then I bring out my book, and then I just draw. And then sometimes I'm listening to Papa, but I don't know what he's saying, so I just draw. And then after that, when Papa's meeting's over, then we go somewhere else, and Papa has another meeting.
Ya, oke, itu waktu masih kecil banget. Ya, jadi cuman dikasih umpan, dikasih reward. Ikut gua, dapat makanan enak, dapat minuman yang enak. Tapi aktivitasnya jelas. Aktivitasnya adalah jangan setiap 5 menit, Papa. Aktivitasnya nggak boleh kayak, I want to go pee, I want to go this, Papa what about this, what about that. Nggak boleh ngomong. Oke, kita kasih dia buku dan bilang gini, kamu duduk di situ, dan meeting saya, kalau kalian pernah ketemu sama saya, meetingnya paling sedikit 45 menit, dan itu back to back biasanya. Dan dia ikut meeting sama saya 3 jam, 5 jam. Untuk anak seumuran 4 tahun, 5 tahun, that is a long stretch. Tapi kita ajarin dia. Nah, yang saya mau tinggalkan di titik itu is simply this, is that the house that we live in, the food that we eat, did not just suddenly fall from the sky. Somebody actually have to go to work so that the food, the house is actually there, right? Okay, now, then you grow older, right?
Yeah.
And as you grow older, now, the same book that you use, you're given a task, right? Can you explain to everybody what is the task?
To write down what I caught from your meeting.
That's right. And then I will ask you to interview the people that I met, right?
Yeah.
Tell everybody, what do you do?
So I asked the people Papa's meeting what is their name, what they like about their job, and why they like their job.
And then there's a more important question of like, you forget?
Forgot.
That's okay. I can fill in the blanks. Jadi saya minta Rachel untuk bilang gini, pada saat dia udah lebih besar ya. Oke, dan saya bilang sama Rachel sebenarnya, oke, sekarang you tanya nama dia siapa, bisnisnya apa, right? Terus kita tanya gini, apa yang kamu suka tentang pekerjaan kamu? Dan kedua kita tanya gini, apa yang kamu tidak suka tentang pekerjaan kamu, right?
Yeah.
Right? And you know, some people that actually knows me well, they say like, being asked those 4 questions is the same like getting into an interview setup. Because with that 4 questions, dengan 4 pertanyaan itu, saya tahu segala sesuatu yang saya perlu tahu tentang bisnis itu. Dan saya tahu apakah saya perlu jadi investornya atau tidak perlu jadi investornya. Atau ini adalah investasi yang salah. Karena investasi yang baik dimulai dengan founder yang tepat. Tidak dimulai dengan bisnis model yang tepat atau opportunity yang tepat. Okay? Dan tentu kita sekarang jadi fast forward sampai ke sekarang ini. Rachel pernah magang di tempat bikin bubble tea, terus ikut saya pergi ke kantor, bahkan seperti hari ini ikut set up ruangan ini untuk bisa melakukan production. So people hear me say this all the time, but I want them to hear it firsthand from you. Like, tell everybody, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like are you part of like child labor? You're still a child, and then you make to go to work. Life is so difficult because it's a child labor. Or is this a fun experience? What did you learn? Or things that sometimes make you go crazy because I gotta go follow Papa, do all this work. I just want to be a child. I want to play video game every day. Tell everybody, what do you think firsthand from yourself?
I think sometimes I feel like, why am I working so hard? I'm just a kid. It's not my job. I'm not even getting paid, But I think it is a helpful experience for when I grow up.
How helpful? How? Anything that you you have found like, let's just say in the last 2 years, right? During all this pandemic and you've been helping Papa doing left and right and doing this, doing that. By the way, kalau teman-teman nggak tahu, Rachel ini sekarang adalah yang membuat recording, membuat pertanyaan, membuat topik, mengedit, dan kemudian juga membuat konten sosial media yang nantinya diposting di podcastnya saya, diposting di Instagramnya saya. Itu semuanya adalah Rachel yang kerjakan. Jadi untuk teman-teman yang kadang-kadang bilang adalah, gimana caranya ya? Dev masih punya waktu ya, masih bisa bikin social media konten ya? The answer is not. I don't have time to do it. Saya memberikannya, mendelegasikannya kepada orang lain. Tapi yang penting seperti saya katakan, kalau saya sendiri nggak tahu kerjanya apa, saya nggak tahu. Saya cuma bilang gini, lu bikin social media content. Let's say, just make it clear, right? Say to you, like, okay, go make social media content, right? Then everything that a 14-year-old does akan selalu dapat komplain dari David. Saya akan terus bilang salah, tapi habis itu salah, masalahnya gini, how to make it right. Kalau saya nggak punya jawabannya, itu sebabnya delegasi itu tidak akan pernah terjadi dengan baik, karena kita mendelegasikan sebuah tanggung jawab, tapi kita tidak mendelegasikan pekerjaan yang dibutuhkan. So I think that is the key. But again, back to you, what have you been learning in the last 3 months, 6 months, 2 years doing this with Papa?
Well, in the beginning, I'm just joining your production, like seeing how this whole setup is made, like the camera, like connecting it to the laptop, all the recording. But then after that, like now when I'm making the podcast, I think I learned a lot about how like difficult life actually is. I think like having a job is more difficult than I thought.
But are you smarter in the progress, or you become dumber?
I think I got smarter.
You got smarter,
Yeah.
right?
I know how podcast works now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Jadi teman-teman, saya harap ini menjadi sesuatu yang berguna ya buat kalian. Tapi saya udah pakai waktu 10 menit, 15 menit hanya cerita tentang parenting, cerita tentang bagaimana saya mengintegrasikan antara pekerjaan saya sehari-hari dengan menjadi seorang ayah, menjadi seorang teman, menjadi seorang pelatih, menjadi seorang guru buat anak saya. By the way, untuk anak saya yang lebih kecil lagi, banyak kerjaannya. Contohnya, kalau kalian bayangkan saya sekali webinar 3 jam gitu ya. Saya kan pasti perlu minum, perlu apa gitu ya. Jadi, saya juga punya minion gitu. Tahu gak ya, nonton film Despicable Me ada minionnya gitu. Saya bilang adalah, I need cold water. Nanti ada teng dibawain cold water. You see? Jadi, pertanyaannya kayak gini nih. Emangnya David gak bisa ambil air sendiri? Istrinya si David gak bisa ambil air? Bisa. Tapi saya secara sengaja melibatkan anak-anak saya untuk melakukan aktivitas itu. Sekali lagi, untuk anak saya yang umurnya masih 9 tahun, itu sudah merupakan sebuah kegiatan. Tapi kegiatan yang bukan kayak, semuanya contohnya apa ya? Bikin cappuccino, sebagai contohnya. Ya, 9 tahun belum bisa gitu loh. Tapi kalau cuma bawa air es, sebagai contohnya, bisa. Atau semuanya bawain makanan ringan, bawa snack. Nah, itu membutuhkan apa? Membutuhkan dia motorik skill untuk dia bawa makanannya. Waktu dia buka pintunya, nggak buka gini, kubrok, nggak begitu. Tapi bukanya pelan-pelan. Kenapa? Karena dia tahu adalah, bapak gua lagi ada webinar. Jadi nggak bisa cuma sekedar kayak masuk seenak. Dia buka pintu gini, here papa your water. Nggak ada ngomong. Buka pintu, jalannya tenang-tenang, and then kemudian taruh, cuman gini. And then pergi, tutup pintunya nggak gubrak, tutup pintunya pelan. Kenapa? Nah, jadi kita membantu mereka untuk tahu bahwa ada waktunya untuk segala sesuatu. Nah, so you introduce work, you introduce apa artinya berkarya kepada anak-anak kita. And if I do it to my own children, you guys can imagine apa yang saya lakukan kepada tim saya. Kesengajaan. Delegasi itu adalah sebuah kesengajaan, bukan sesuatu yang otomatis dapat orang yang hebat di kantor dan dia tidak bisa perform. Very, very likely, semakin mereka lebih muda, semakin kita harus terlibat dalam melakukan aktivitas grooming atau delegasi. Alright, kembali kepada topik yang hari ini saya mau bicarakan. Setiap hari Rabu biasanya saya punya kesempatan untuk kumpul sama anak-anak saya dan kita mulai banyak cerita tentang minggu ini kita belajar apa, and all those kind of things. Nah, minggu lalu kebetulan berbicara tentang sebuah topik, cerita tentang pengampunan, cerita tentang forgiveness. Gitu, dan setelah saya ngobrol-ngobrol, saya cerita, ternyata Rachel menangkap sesuatu dan dia memberikan presentasi juga dalam waktu 3 menit, 5 menit, 6 menit, dan dia ceritakan tentang apa yang dia pelajari. Dan saya rasa walaupun disampaikan oleh seorang anak umur 14 tahun, some of you akan bilang bahwa mungkin adalah pengalaman hidupnya mah masih cuma segitu. Dia mana ngerti pengampunan. Dia belum tahu kalau disakiti kayak gua. Atau mungkin beberapa dari kalian akan mengatakan adalah, wait second, saya gak setuju dengan imannya si Rachel karena kita Nasrani, kita Kristen. You don't have to agree with us. Tapi mudah-mudahan kalian menangkap pemikiran dari anak umur 14 tahun. Dan saya rasa kalian semuanya akan belajar sesuatu dan bisa terinspirasi. So, the next 5 menit, 7 menit ini saya akan berikan kepada Rachel. Saya meminta dia untuk menyampaikan apa yang ada di dalam pikiran dia tentang topik forgiveness atau pengampunan. Dan kemudian kita akan bertanya jawab.
So, I know that I don't probably have a lot of experience with forgiving, like Papa said, but I have 2 small brothers, so I think I know a little bit, right? I know that it can be hard to forgive. Like, if my brother brings me my tumbler, like my favorite tumbler, it's a nice metal tumbler, and then he drops it on the floor. It's not a big deal, but if he breaks my tumbler, I'm still going to be mad at him, right? Like, hey, why do you keep dropping my tumbler? Do you want me to drop your tumbler too? Also, no, right? But that's not always the right response. I'm supposed to forgive him. I'm not supposed to get angry easily. Like in the Bible, we say that love is not getting angry easily. And another thing, there's a lot of things in the Bible that talks about forgiveness. So let me tell you a story. There is an apostle named Peter, right? And one day, he asked Jesus, how many times should I forgive someone? 7 times? Because that day, he had forgiven somebody 7 times already for the same thing. Now, if you think about it, that's a lot of times to forgive someone. Let's say, if someone pranks you every day for a week, for 7 days, and you have to forgive them 7 times, it's a lot of times, right? So Peter asked Jesus, should I forgive someone 7 times? Because he expected Jesus to say, oh, geez, you have already forgiven someone 7 times yet. Oh, so good. But Jesus didn't say that. Instead, Jesus said, no, I tell you, not just 7 times, but 70 times 7 times. And in the Bible, that basically meant never stop forgiving, no matter how many times. Forgive an infinite amount of times. Now, that sounds impossible for us. Like, how can I forgive somebody an infinite amount of times? But like I said before, or I don't know if I did, but forgiveness is like love. When you forgive someone, you're showing them how much you love them. Another thing that the Bible says is to love your neighbors, which is people around you, as yourself. And your neighbors doesn't just mean people around you. Like, oh, it's easy to love my family, it's easy to love my friends, but it also means loving people who hurt you, which the Bible calls your enemy. If your enemy slaps you,
She
Papa,
just slapped me.
you're supposed to forgive me.
I forgive you.
And then
Give you
give me the
another
other
right cheek.
If Papa gives me his other cheek, I can also slap him again. But what the Bible means is not give your other cheek so they can hurt you again. What it actually means is give them another chance. Like in this case, another chance to kiss Papa instead of slap Papa. You see? So in the Bible, it doesn't just say love your neighbors as yourself, but love your enemies. To love your enemies, it means to forgive your enemies. So if I forgive my enemies, it's showing how much I love them. Now, let me give you a better example. Here I have a big bowl, a small bowl, and a small spoon. If God is love, in the Bible it says God is love, that means God is infinite, full of love. He never runs out of love. And we, because we're made by Him, then we have love because of Him. We take love from Him. So if we are forgiving to others, that means every time we forgive, we're getting love from God and we're giving love to the person that we forgive, right? So if I only forgive Papa sometimes, that means I'm using this tiny spoon and I'm scooping from God's love just a tiny spoon and I only taste it. And I only give Papa a taste of love. I can taste the love and it tastes good, but it's not a lot, right? It's not enough to make me full. So then I use this. I use a bowl. I scoop more love so I can have more love and I can give more love to others. That means that I'm only forgiving Papa sometimes because it's only this small little bowl. I cannot fit so much love, right? Like Papa told me yesterday, when you forgive, you need to forgive all the time. Like what Jesus says, forgive 70 times 7 times, all the time. So I take the biggest scoop that I can of love, and I take love for myself, and I give love to everyone else. So that with this big bowl, I can share as much love as I can. That's what I wanted to say about forgiveness.
What do you think? Bagus loh. Ya, sekali lagi saya mau pastikan adalah kalau untuk teman-teman yang mungkin tidak seagama dengan kami tidak mencoba untuk menjual agama, tapi kemarin waktu Rachel lakukan ini semuanya untuk acara keluarga kita, persekutuan di dalam rumah kita, saya berpikir bahwa adalah teman-teman banyak yang mesti mendengarkan. You see, kita semuanya disakiti, dan pada saat kita disakiti, kita reaksi yang lebih gampangnya adalah lo tonjok gua tonjok lo balik. Lo nyuri dari gua nyuri balik dari lo. Lo kerjain gua kerjain lo balik. Itu yang lebih gampang. Dan untuk bisa mengampuni, to forgive, it requires you to be full of love. Karena pada saat kita memiliki kasih, baru disitulah kita bisa mengasihi orang lain. Nah, pertanyaannya adalah, dapat kasihnya dari mana? Where do you get this love? Right? Kalau kalian percaya seperti kami percaya, saya ajarkan kepada anak-anak saya kemarin bahwa adalah Tuhan bukan punya kasih. Kalau Tuhan punya kasih, Dia lihat sama kita diampuni sekali, diampuni 2 kali, diampuni 3 kali, diampuni 4 kali, diampuni 50 kali. Mungkin Tuhan bilang gini, habis persediaan stok kasih saya. Udah, gak usah diampuni lagi. But you see, God is not just having love, but God is actually the love itself. Artinya Tuhan itu persediaan kasih Dia, persediaan cinta kasih sayang Dia tidak akan pernah habis. Diambil setiap hari, setiap detik, selama 100 tahun per orang, 7,4 miliar manusia, dia masih ada lagi. Dan dia infinite, dia tidak bisa habis. Berarti pertanyaannya adalah, seberapa banyak kita pernah mencicipi kasih itu? Kalau kita ambil pakai sendok yang kecil, maka kita sebenarnya, itu sebabnya kita hanya forgive pada saat kepada ya konteks-konteks tertentu, tapi in bigger things kita nggak mau, karena kita cuma punya persediaannya 1 sendok. Pasti kita cuma mau makan sendiri. Itu sebabnya saya nggak bisa mengasihi orang lain, dan saya tidak bisa mengampuni orang lain, because it's just enough for myself. Kalau 1 sendok kecil, it's not even just enough for myself. It's not even enough. Right? So I need more. Jadi kita bilang gini, how come you're my daughter and you cannot forgive me? Why you do this to me? Jadi kita nggak bisa mengampuni gitu loh. Ya kan? Nah, tapi kemudian di titik yang lain adalah tentu seperti tadi yang Rachel kasih lihat. Kalau pakai mangkoknya yang besar, berarti adalah kita memiliki kapasitas yang lebih besar karena kita mengasihi Tuhan kita. Maka kita lebih mudah untuk mengasihi orang lain. Karena kita tahu bahwa kalau saya mengasihi orang lain dan saya mengampuni orang lain, persediaan stok saya tidak terbatas. Kenapa? Karena saya punya mangkok yang besar untuk diri saya dan untuk orang lain. Itu sebabnya di Markus, di Matius dikatakan bahwa adalah kasihilah sesamamu manusia seperti mengasihi dirimu sendiri. Jadi, there goes the word love others and love thyself. It means that I gotta love you, but I also gotta love myself. And the tension that a lot of people cannot forgive is because they are self-loving themselves and they say, I don't even have enough. How do I love you? You know, and it is so interesting that urutannya adalah mengasihi Tuhan, kemudian mengasihi orang lain, dan kemudian mengasihi diri sendiri. In other words, that the more you love God, the more you will love other people. It's like almost automatic. And because you love God, you love other people, you always have abundance love in yourself. You know? And it's almost saying that your ability to love other people, love God, love others, love self, right? And love others is right there in the middle. It's almost like saying like, see, the indication whether you are a loving person or not is that how much love are you giving to other people? Because the more you love other people, it is reflective to your relationship to your God, because He is the source of all love. And then the more you love yourself, because you are able to love others to be higher, to be better, more than yourself. You know. So anyway, supaya lengkap, cerita forgiveness, kalau kalian sudah lama ikut sama saya suka kasih sama kalian bahwa adalah forgive always, forget often, and discipline as necessary. Jadi gak bisa cuma cerita forgive always, karena kalau forgive always itu kayak cuman makan tapi gak pakai minuman sebagai contohnya. Gak lengkap, gak sur makannya, enjoyment-nya gak penuh, karena kita gak bisa melupakan, kita tidak bisa meniadakan kata forgive dengan kata forget dan kata disiplin. Ketiga hal ini merupakan 3 sekawan yang harus sama-sama dibicarakan. Setiap kali saya mau mendisiplinkan anak saya, tim saya, atau apapun itu, saya harus cerita tentang forgetfulness and forgiving yang saya. You want to talk about forgetfulness, you have to talk about discipline, and you gotta talk about forgiving. And of course, if you want to talk about forgiving, you also have to talk about forgetfulness and also discipline. Alright? Seperti biasanya kita di Detox, kita selalu punya kesempatan untuk ngobrol dan kemudian bertanya. So, dalam kesempatan hari ini, I don't know, you have any more other question for me?
Yeah. So, yesterday we also talked about what happens when someone hurts you really bad. Like, if I only slap you, it's easy for you to forgive me, even if I slap you 70 times, right? But if somebody stabs you instead, and then you almost died, it's very hard to forgive something so bad, right? So with what you said, the forgive always and forget often, I'm sure that eventually you can forgive someone for stabbing you, right? But how can you forget?
Yeah. So, pengajaran yang saya ajarkan, things that I teach you as well, is like, forgive always. Forgive always means always. Forgive always is not forgive always, accept. That's not called always. That's called like almost all the time. It is close to the infinity of all time, but with the exception of 3 things. It's not. Forgive always, mengampuni selalu artinya adalah selalu artinya apa? 100%. Berarti yang kecil atau yang besar sama-sama diampuni, right? And many things yang kalian udah pernah dengar, because not forgiving itu adalah sama seperti punya racun, kita minum dan mengharapkan orang lain yang mati. It doesn't work that way. So forgiving is always because I care enough about myself that I will forgive. Because dengan saya forgive, then you have a path. Nanti ya, kalau kita mau masuk ke level berikut kita, pada saat kita mengampuni, itu kayak punya kunci untuk buka pintu, supaya we can go to the next stage, yaitu adalah forget. You cannot say like, I already forget, but I will never forgive. Coba bayangin aja sebentar. Saya gak mau lupakan, tapi saya sudah mengampuni. It will never ever work. Melupakan hanya bisa terjadi pada saat kita sudah forgive. Right? Itu yang mungkin yang kunci pertamanya gitu. Yang kedua adalah, hanya pada saat kamu disakiti, maka pada saat itulah kamu butuh untuk memberikan pengampunan. Coba pikirkan. Contoh, pikirkan aja obat kalian. Obat sakit mak, obat sakit kepala, obat anti nyeri. Pada saat nyerinya datang, barulah kita butuh obat anti nyeri. Kalau kalian mau memaafkan seseorang, maka penyakitnya adalah disakiti. Coba think about it. Betul gak? If you're not hurt, why do you need to forgive that person? Contoh sehari-hari. Sometimes you did something, let's say you injak kakinya orang lain, atau gak sengaja tumblernya tadi jatuh, dan kayak gitu-gitu. Okay? Tapi untuk orang yang menjadi korban, dia tidak merasa disakiti. Jadi kita bilang, ayo sorry ya. The person will say like, sorry apaan? What sorry? No need to be sorry, I'm okay. Betul gak? Kenapa? Karena dia tidak disakiti. Ada orang yang gak minum air 10 jam, terus dia mulai pusing. Nah, dia mau makan obat anti pusing. Right? Tapi ada orang yang sudah 10 jam, dia tetap hydrated dan dia tidak merasa pusing. Jadi waktu kita kasih obatnya, dia bilang begini, I'm okay, you don't need to give me the medicine. Jadi, pertanyaan ini adalah pertanyaan yang merupakan realita daripada forgiveness. You only need to give forgiveness when you are hurt. If you are not hurt, so may orang bilang adalah, oh yo, so sorry ya. But you're not hurt. And they say like, that's okay, I forgive you. Itu creepy lagi. You know what I mean not? Right? Jadi yang normal, Nah, ini pertanyaan yang kemarin anak-anak Rachel khususnya tanya kepada saya, dan saya mau bagi sama kalian. Saya bilang, justru waktu kamu disakiti, disitulah saya tahu bahwa saya lagi harus memberikan obat, dan obatnya namanya adalah forgiveness. And so this is how I do it. Number one, I say, I forgive you. Tapi I forgive you, buka pintu, mulai masuk ke forget, tapi gak langsung forget. Contoh ya, semuanya mereka angkat piring atau mereka angkat apa gitu, jatuh ke kaki saya. Kuda, semuanya berdarah semuanya begitu ya. Oh ya sorry papa, gitu ya kan. I forgive you. Tapi kan gak begini ya, I forgive you. And then the pain suddenly just go away. It doesn't work that way. Nah ini saya lagi cerita yang fisik. Kalau kita yang di dalam bisnis, kita yang di kantor, kadang-kadang kita dikhianati sama orang lain, kita di backstab, atau kita ditipu sama orang. You know, there's a lot of things, right? So when you got hit, you remember that, oh, I'm hurt. Whether it's hurt physically, emotionally, mentally, intellectually, whatever it may be. When you're hurt, the first thing that come in your mind is that I have to release forgiveness. Because without forgiving, I will never be able to forget. Okay, so I forgive. Use your words and say that I forgive you. Okay? Tapi setelah kita ngomong, gak ada orang yang bilang bahwa kalau saya memaafkan, berarti saya gak boleh marah. It is not an equal sign. Artinya saya bilang begini, okay Rachel, I forgive you, but my feet is still very painful. So this is not me being angry at you, but I am still cannot forget that you hurt me and my thumb is bleeding. Contoh, right? And so that's okay. Nah, ada orang lain yang tidak dewasa. They are kids. They're immature people. They say like, how can you say forgive but you still upset at me? Dude, you hurt me, man. It hurts. Ngerti gak? And so I think it's okay. I think like, you know, gak semua orang bisa mengerti konsep ini. Tapi paling sedikit, as a healthy discipline of a leader, that's what you need to do. You need to release forgiveness. Because your words create your world. When I say I forgive you, I'm no longer drinking poison and expecting other people to die. You know, I'm saying like, poison, go to the garbage bin. I forgive you. Forgiveness has been released. And then now we enter the second stage, which is to forget. Okay, when you want to forget, sometimes the forgetfulness is in, say, 5 seconds. Sometimes it's in 5 days. Sometimes it's in 5 months. And for what it's worth, sometimes it's 50 years. And this is what in America, for example, the tension between race, you know, tension between political view, and sometimes people hurt each other in the process. Whether that be by physical abuse, or by verbal abuse, or by pressure, or whatever it may be. And I think that the first stage of recovery is continuing to be this one word, forgiveness. You must forgive, right? When you forgive and you declare it, then you are creating the storm is calm. Alright? But then after that, forgetting is a completely different story. You know, there is a group of people that hurt another group of people based on the color of their skin, based on their religion, based on their gender, based on a lot of different things, right? Okay, when the forgiveness is done, the forgetfulness in this particular case can literally stay for one full generation. We're talking about 50 years later. The older generation cannot forget. You know, one time I was in a certain state that I'm not going to mention in America, but apparently in that particular city that I go to, they have never seen an Asian. This is in America, right? So I went there, and I have people checking me out from head to toe, right? And I'm thinking like, is my zipper down? Is my hair messy? I'm not sure what they did, but I know that everybody's looking at me. Until when I was about to pay the bill, the person asked me, are you a Jap? A Jap untuk Japanese. Karena buat orang-orang di sana, mata sipit, kulit sawo kayak begini, wah orang Jepang. Ini orang yang dulu bom Pearl Harbor. You see, after one full generation, there is still people that cannot forget because the pain is really that bad. The pain is like, I can still having fear when I go through that neighborhood or go through that environment. So you see, forgetfulness and forgiveness is two separate things. But you cannot forget if you never release forgiveness. Jadi after kita memberikan pengampunan, taruh kunci, buka pintu, sekarang kita masuk ke sebuah ruangan. Di ruangan ini namanya forgetful. Nah, makanya untuk bisa menjadi forgetful, ya kan, kita perlu punya item yang ketiga, namanya adalah disiplin. Disiplin artinya adalah saya mendisiplinkan diri saya supaya saya bisa meresponi keadaan-keadaan ini, that's A. Atau disiplin bisa berarti adalah saya tutup pintu, saya tutup jendela, supaya tidak ada orang lagi yang akan masuk ke dalam di sini lagi, dan kemudian melukai saya dengan cara yang sama lagi. So this konteksnya, contohnya physical abuse, domestic abuse, things like that. There are certain things that you cannot allow that to happen again and again. Kita nggak bisa gini, I forgive you. If that happens, by the way, you have to still release forgiveness so that you can again enter forgetfulness. But if you don't have discipline, it means that you allow that same group of people to continue to hurt you, again, harm you, again and again and again and again. Itu namanya nggak punya wisdom. Itu namanya nggak punya kebijaksanaan in bahasa Indonesia. You understand? So that's how you put together all these things, right? Okay, last item, last point for this question. I forget which one, but there was a pope. Okay, a gunman show up and shoot the pope. I forget where he hits, but the pope didn't die. The man, if I'm not mistaken, again, I'm trying to recollect my memories, right? The man never goes to trial. Immediately put in the jail. Okay? Pope in the hospital. Okay, survive, right? The first thing that he did is that he say, I want to go to the jail. And you thought that he's going to go to the jail to slap the guy, right? He's a pope. He's not supposed to take the guy and shoot somebody, so maybe you just want to slap the guy. What's wrong with you? I'm the pope, maybe, right? But he did not. He went to the jail and he say, I forgive you. Not only he say, I forgive you, he went to the president of that country. I forget which country, yeah? And he say, will you give a presidential pardon to this guy that shoot me? And I remember this story because this pope went into the Time or some magazine, very important magazine, and become the Time of the Year person or something like that. And the title is, why did he forgive? Because in the world's eyes, he say like, good for you, right? Stay in the jail until you die, you resurrect, and stay in the jail again for 5 lifetimes, if it's possible, right? But instead, the Pope shows love, and he say, I forgive you. Not only I forgive you, he went out of his way to meet the president, asking for a presidential pardon for the person that actually shot him. Attempted assassination, not shoot the Thai or that. He's like purposefully coming to assassinate him. But he said, I forgive you, and he asked for presidential pardon. And I think that is a sign that the world need to see more of it. You know, you guys all have different political view. Kalian punya pandangan politik yang berbeda-beda dan kalian mungkin tidak setuju dengan cara pandang daripada si Paus. You know, that's not for me. Itu bukan topiknya kita. But I just want to talk about when it comes to the topic of forgiveness. Itu yang artinya somebody that is overflowed with love. You know, the way they view life is just simply different. And I think the world needs more love, not more fighting. Not for you want a piece of me. Any more questions?
We have time for one more?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I have one more question. If you've ever heard the saying, everyone deserves a second chance, right? Like, when I slap you, you're supposed to give me a second chance to kiss you, like I said before.
Yeah.
So, forgiving is already hard enough. It's already hard enough. But if we keep forgiving, it feels like the person is taking advantage over our gracefulness, right? So, when do we know to discipline? Because you said discipline when necessary, right? When is the when?
Yeah, you know, when you live longer in life, like myself, I realize that I am a product of grace. I'm a product of mercy. I'm a product of favor. And the reason for that is because I'm not perfect. So as we ponder about like giving other people second chance, is the idea whether, again, do you understand what type of mercy, grace, love, favor that has been granted to me? You know, so because today our topic is surround our faith in Christianity, when I say I will not give you second chance, what I'm actually saying is this, right? I'm saying that, God, you forgive me. Well, I'm not so bad. That's why it's okay for you to forgive me. But God, when you ask me to forgive her, do you know what she has done? Do you know how many times I've forgiven the same thing? Do you know? What I'm saying is that I'm bigger than God. Because God is so little. God, you're so little. I do mistake. It's not a sin. It's not. You forgive me. Normal lah. But this one, coba, you mana cannot. I'm already big heart. I already forgive 3 times. That's why. Should be thankful I already forgive 3 times. You see, when I do that, means like I'm greater than God. So I'm just asking you with a mathematic question. Are you greater than God or are you smaller than God? Alright, make it clearer. Are you smaller than God? Are you a minuscule nothingness compared to God? And so if we understand that, then giving other people second chances is actually something that should be natural for us. Because I am a product of grace. I'm a product of somebody that has been forgiven. So when I forgive other people, it means that giving second chance. Now you say, but what if that guy take advantage of me? The same thing, How many times have you taken advantage of your God? If you say that, no, I've never taken advantage of God, that's the reason why you should not give a second chance to other people. But if you say that I've taken advantage of God's grace upon my life, and for me, I gotta say, like, the biggest person that have provided unlimited forgiveness to me, to your father, is your mother. Because Papa is definitely a hot-tempered guy. I'm easily excited. When I got excited, my voice just keep on the pitch note just And then when I was much younger, not only my voice goes up, my hands also start moving, punching walls, punching doors. Like I hurt your mother, but she shows what grace looks like. She forgives. So you say Peter asked Jesus 7 times. I already asked forgiveness for raising my voice. I don't know how many thousand times. And for that many thousand times, your mother answer is, has always been like, I forgive you. Let's do it again. But with all the anecdotes that we've been talking about, now we get to the core of the discipline. You see, in the discipline, your mother is one of the most soft-spoken, patient woman I've ever met in my life. But this is what discipline looks like. Your mother has to stand up to the plate. And this is what standing up to the plate looks like. He says that, the next time you shout at me, I am not going to respond to you. So what did Mama do? And Mama like this. And I said like, why are you not responding? Are you going to come down? So that's discipline. So you see, the love is there. The forgiving is there. Even when I didn't ask for forgiveness, she already forgave. The forgetfulness, once again, it will take time. It takes us 20 years to come in a place where we can disagree and I can control myself and your mother can go inside my world, I can go inside her world. It takes 2 decades of journey in this marriage. To start to really, really, really kind of like gel together. Even right now, I don't feel that we gel 100%, but we are so much more better than 2 decades ago. But the discipline is highly important. Today's subject is Papa, not Mama, but in the equal way. Even though your mother is the most beautiful, smartest, kindest, loving person that I've ever met in my life, but your mom is also not perfect. And so I too are required to forgive again and again and again and again. Second chance after second chance. I'm a product of grace. She's also a product of grace. So we are graceful to each other, not because I am so hebat. We are graceful to each other because we are product of grace. Right? But the discipline is about wisdom. So, when she does the thing that she does, I also have to stood up to the plate and say like, okay, wait a second. Cool back. This is the rule that we say we're going to do that. Right? And so, when you ask this question, Rachel, I think the only person that have granted me 10,000 or maybe a million forgiveness is your mother. and vice versa. Because that's the relationship between husband and wife. You don't just say that today I love you, we get married, tomorrow I no longer feel the love, and you decided that then we separate. Whether that's separation, divorce, or going to another person, that is the wrong way to look at it. The right way is that it means that you have been switching from your big bowl to a small minuscule spoon and taste that love, and that's why you're no longer able to give love to yourself. Now, I answer it from my perspective as a husband and wife, because if you understand this, Rachel, then every other relationship in this world is easier to manage. But if you use the standard like in the office, the problem is your relationship in the office has something to do with money. It has something to do with success. So it is loving with a condition. But when you stick around in a marriage, it is love despite all. I have not met a husband or a wife that says that my spouse is perfect. If they say that, it's for romantic reason. But the reality of life, we will still can disagree, we can still make mistakes, and we can still even hurt each other. And strong marriages that understand the power of forgiveness, forgetfulness, and discipline, those are the ones that can sustain for 50 years and 70 years and more. And then if you pay attention, in all the other aspects of life, normally it's also much more smoother. Doesn't mean there's no storm in their life, but it's much more smoother. I hope you learned something. And I hope you guys also learned something. Nama gue David Cokro Raharjo. Nama anak gue
Rachel
Grace. Ini adalah DTox. Untuk pertama kalinya dilakukan dengan bentuk video. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.